The Blue Lakes Trailhead is located about 9 miles down a dirt road just outside of Ridgway, Colorado. This 8.6-mile hike with 2,500 feet of elevation gain takes you to 3 beautiful alpine lakes. This is definitely one of the busier hikes in the state, and for good reason. The views are absolutely beautiful. The hike is rated hard by most accounts, but I would argue for anybody who hikes regularly, especially at altitude, it's very doable. I've done this hike before with Shane and our friend Megan several years ago as a day hike. We stopped at the lower lake that time because of bad weather rolling in. This time, Megan and I did this as a backpacking trip the last weekend of September 2020. You gain about 1,500 feet over 3 miles to get to the first lake. The first lake is definitely the most popular of the 3. While you can feel the elevation gain getting to the first lake, it's not as steep as between the first lake and the second and third, which gains about 1,000 feet in 1 mile. When we had done this hike previously, we did it midsummer when the wildflowers were blooming. All of the open meadows had a lot of great wildflowers. It was interesting to see it in the fall where everything was so brown and it was beautiful in a different way than the wildflowers. Our plan for this trip was to spend 1 night and 2 days on the hike. It was a nice, relaxed pace, and we were able to really enjoy our time at the first and third lakes. As we walked up to the first lake, it was so beautiful with the bright blue water and the fall colors all around. There were quite a few nice campsites located in the woods just next to the first lake. If you visit this area and any area, remember you should camp at least 200 feet from any body of water. When Megan and I got to the lower lake, we set up camp and then we took our lunch down by the lake to relax and take in the view as we ate our lunch. From the west side of the lake, you can see the top of Mount Sneffels at 14,158 feet. The view of the water is so beautiful. It's a crystal clear teal blue color. After eating lunch, setting up camp, and relaxing for a little bit, Megan and I set off on the 1 mile, 1,000-foot climb up to lakes 2 and 3, or the middle and upper lakes. While hiking just to the lower lake is also a beautiful day hike option, I'm really glad that we headed up to the middle and upper lakes. The views of the lower lake just get better as you climb, and you can really see the blue color, as well as the view of the mountains all around was breathtaking, and not only because of the altitude. While Lake 2 was still beautiful, it was the least impressive of the three. You would have to climb down to get to it, and we did see some people on the shore of Lake 2, but we decided to carry on to the upper lake, the third. I'd love to see this third lake in the summer. I'm sure there are amazing wildflowers and the area would be much more green. However, I really loved seeing it in these late fall colors with all of the browns and reds and orange, as well as some snow on the peaks around. From the third lake, this trail can also continue on up to Blue Lakes Pass and Mount Sniffles. Like I mentioned, we decided to camp by the first lake or the lower lake. We did see people with their tents set up between the middle and upper lakes. However, I will mention it was very windy up there. Since we were late in the season, we felt like it would probably be too cold with the wind to camp up there, but there were people hardier than us doing it. We spent a while at the third lake relaxing and taking in the views. After making our way back down and heading back to camp, it was time for dinner. So Megan and I got our dinner items and headed back over to the lower lake where we enjoyed a dinner with a view. Once we got too cold in the exposed lake area, we headed back to our site where we watched the moon rise, drank some hot chocolate, and headed to bed. The next morning, we had the lower lake completely to ourselves. Once we woke up, we headed over to the lake to enjoy some breakfast and coffee and really take in the view. It was so amazing having it to ourselves in the morning light. The lake was completely calm in the morning hours, and it was so peaceful to sit there and take it in. Shortly after, we headed back to our campsite. You can see the view from our site here. We packed up and we made our way back down to the car. We had an all-wheel drive vehicle to get to the trailhead. It's worth noting that we did see some passenger cars, although the road might be just a little bit rough for that, but definitely doable. The lot's a pretty good size, but I've read that it definitely fills up, especially during the summertime.